There we go.
All right, so we'll call the September 14th, 2021 Middleton Tourism Commission meeting to order. Do we want to go for the minutes right away? Are we able to get those up, Julie?
Yeah, I'll work on getting those up next, Jim.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Everybody get a chance to review them at all prior to the meeting? Anybody have any questions or concerns about the minutes
I did not.
as they were recorded? Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 The meeting minutes have been approved. Looks like next up would be hotel events and staff reports. You know, since our last meeting, I've seen a slight pause in cancellations, you know, of groups. I won't say that there's been any uptick of bookings, but things are holding steady. You know, attendance is still coming in 80%-ish for most of these groups. The mask mandate did have a pretty big impact for one of our events we've got going on this week. People from the northern reaches of Wisconsin were adamant that they would not put a mask on to attend an event, so there was quite a bit of slippage on that group, but they did not cancel. So things are holding steady. Let's just hope they start improving, I guess. Looking forward to a lot of football and youth sports action here in the next few months. So that's really all I have.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things from me, Jim.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting feedback?
That's better.
Okay, I'll pull away. How's that?
Better.
I had my meeting with the finance team, the mayor and the city administrator a couple of weeks ago to present the budget. Everything went well with that meeting. The only questions they asked about were the placeholder for B-cycle and where we were sitting with the fund balance. Pretty much the same questions and comments from the finance committee when I presented to them a week ago. So next steps now will be, I believe, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a budget discussion with the finance committee and the council to review.
Right. I think the finance is going to discuss it first and then propose something to the council, the whole council. So.
Okay. And the other item on my list is the Wisconsin State DMO grant program. The applications have finally opened up for that. The DOA held a webinar last Thursday, kind of did a walkthrough of what the process is and discussed the criteria associated with the grant. It sounds like we will be eligible to apply this year. So I'm going to go ahead and start working through that process. Be able to give you an update next month. I believe the applications close on September 29th. Ellie's nodding her head, so I'm thank you for the confirmation. And that's all I have, Jim.
Excellent. Next up, looks like Destination Madison has a presentation for us.
Great, thank you, Jim. And thank you, Julie, and thank all of you for inviting us in to give a presentation today and an update, as well as your support throughout the years. As we all know, these past year and a half has been difficult at best, and so working together has been so important for all of us. With me today, I have a couple folks with me today. Kate Dell, our Vice President of Branding and Communications, Jamie Patrick, our Vice President of Sports, and Maureen Martin, who is our Director of Partnerships. So we've put together a PowerPoint to share with you all, and we really had a lot of conversation about what is it that we should show and share and so forth. And so how this is set up, just to kind of give you an overview, is we have a couple slides in here with an industry update. This is nationwide, just kind of like the big picture of how the country's doing as a whole in tourism. And then we're going to quickly, very quickly go through our 1-year recovery plan. I think most of you know, but if you don't, in late April, we took a couple months when I first got here. I first got here in February. We took a couple months and we really focused in on writing a 1-year recovery plan. We're going to share that with you today. And on the recovery plan, we have 6 key priorities. And with each priority, we have key performance indicators. And how we came to these 6 key priorities is that we had Zoom meetings with all of our partners. And so, but it was partner specific. So we had a Zoom meeting with just restaurants, and with our municipal partners, Julia was on those meetings with us, and with hoteliers and so forth. We wanted their feedback. We wanted their input, because we're not on the front line like a lot of them. And we really wanted their input. So when we wrote the recovery plan, we wrote it in such a way that it was going to support the industry as a whole. So I'm going to give you an update on that. And then we took a deeper dive, and I had asked the question, what have we done for Middleton? It's a little bit hard to answer this past year. We have done quite a bit, but it's not as robust as what we've done in the past. Julie and I got together, just talked about a lot of things, brought each other up to speed on quite a few things. I asked Julie, how do we do a dashboard for you all? Because I really want to show the work that we've been doing with Julie and her team on behalf of Middleton. And Julie said, let's go back 3 years. So that's what we're going to show you today. We have a dashboard that we're going to share with you on just Middleton activity for the past 3 years. So that's kind of an overview. And Maureen, is going to share our PowerPoint. So go right ahead to the next slide, Maureen, if you don't mind. Okay, industry update. We get this information from STR and Tourism Economics, but I wanted to show you what our hotel occupancy, again, this is nationwide, but where we're trending. And as you can see, we're definitely trending up on occupancy. It's not to 2019 numbers yet, which is all where we're all trying to head back to, but it's moving along. Next slide. ADR, you can see that's trending up as well. I think Jim mentioned this in his update with his hotel, but Delta virus our variant did not help any of us. We were kind of on a roll there for a little while this summer, and then the variant hit, and we're hearing different things from different people on how that's going to affect us. But I do have some good news. Next slide, please. We received some projections from STR last week. These are for 2022. These are for the county as a whole. So not just Madison, but for the county as a whole. And I have to tell you, I was a little bit enthused by these numbers. They're not exactly where we would like them to be, but they're not awful. So if you look at 22, occupancy is forecasted to be right around 58.9% for the year. If you look at 2019, occupancy was 61.5. So we are trending back to getting back to that 2019 number, and we're really excited about that. ADR, as you can see, not too far behind. 22 is forecasted at 119.27. 2019, it was 122.87. And RevPAR, $70.31 in 22, $75.54 in 2019. So we're headed the right direction. I would think Jim would agree with me. I haven't met Jim yet in person, so I'm not speaking for him, but we need 22 to be a good year. And we're looking forward to making that happen for all of us. And then one piece that I just want to share with you on the leisure side, which is really important for all of us. And I know that Middleton sees a lot of motor coach groups and things like that. The Longwoods International started doing a survey to travelers the first week of COVID back in March of 20. And as you can imagine, that research was pretty dire for a long time. It got to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to open it because I know it's really bad news. Then it started trending up. And I just want to share a little bit of what we're hearing from them recently. Of their most recent survey that came out, which I believe was last week, 90% of those respondents had travel plans in the next book for the next 6 months. So that's great. That swung way up. It got real low. It got down to like 20% only. So we're up at 90%. Although a third of them report that the virus, the new Delta variant, it's probably not new any longer, will probably impact those travel plans. So we are going to have to see what that fallout is. But I will tell you, outdoor activities remain important for travelers, which is really important in Middleton as well. So that's important information. So let's go to our recovery plan. Recovery priority number one is all about marketing. So this is Kate's area, Kate and her team. But we wanted to get our website page views back to what they were in 2019. And our goal is pretty close to what we hit in 19, which was 1.5 million. This is to date through the end of July, I believe. I don't know if we have our August number updated yet. We had 509,000. So we're definitely trending in the right direction. Rob Gard and his team with PR, they were hoping to host 15 travel writers. The good news is travel writers are traveling again. And so we've already had 12 in since we launched this plan in late April, early May. And then what we want to do, and this is a big goal of ours, is we really want to increase our social media following by 15%. We are in the process right now of interviewing for a brand new position that we just created, digital and social media manager, to handle all of our digital. So our website, our advertising, our social media. We're so excited about this. We have second round interviews this week. So you're going to see that number increase. Hopefully next time you invite us in to give an update, you'll see that number increase. Number 2 is all about sales, sports and conventions. You know, we need to increase those. Our goal is to generate 100 leads. Through July, we had already generated 59. We are having meeting planners and sports planners return our calls, and we're getting some responses, which is good because for a long time, it was pretty darn quiet. Planner touch points, 2,080. We're also being able to travel to shows. Jamie and Sarah just got back from Connect. And I was just talking to Eric Reichert, and he's headed out of town next week. So we're able to go to shows again, which is great. Our room night goal, 54,000. And through July, we had 50,000, just over 50,000 room nights booked. So that's good news too. Increase, engage in and support downtown's recovery. And I know this is kind of a surprising one to have on here because we do represent the county as a whole, and that's really important to us. This was such a loud and clear message from all of our groups across the board in our Zoom meetings. And I'm talking our municipal partners. I've had so many municipal partners say, we have to get downtown back because it helps support all of what we all do. People are going to go to State Street. They just are. So we created a web specific page just for downtown because a lot of our downtown businesses, they didn't know what was open, what was closed, where can they send people. So we're really trying to get that revitalized, reopen, get some new shops in because we did have 40 businesses close all throughout the pandemic and the social unrest. Number 4, create and foster connections between public entities, private partners, and stakeholders. This is Maureen and her team's area, but very loud in our Zoom meetings. We heard, please help us collaborate. Please help us find other partners that do X, Y, Z. Please continue training. These are the support that we need as we reopen and start to rebuild. So our goal is to have 2,300. I think I mentioned that. We've moved on to number 5, elevate and embrace DEI. This is important for us to infuse this into everything we're doing internally and externally. We're going to create a roadmap for this. We're just getting ready to start this process. So we're still in progress on this, but I hope to see great progress on this for this year. And then last, but definitely not least, is propel the recovery of Madison's tourism industry. When we are working on our new city contract with the city of Madison, we did not have that in place by August 30th, but it is in the works, in process, and it's going very well. And then you guys know as well as anybody, we've got a real workforce issue. And we've got to create some plans on not only getting workers in our establishments today, but what is that long-term pipeline? So we don't have this conversation every 3 to 5 years. And I know that we were having this conversation pre-COVID nationwide. I know we were struggling with it in the destination I came from. We've got some really good things happening here that we will hope to announce in the next couple of weeks that will support efforts to get workforce in place. So that's kind of our recovery destination, Madison. And then Middleton exposure and review. A couple of things here that I think are really important. I mentioned that this is a 3-year review. But what I thought was that we needed to do and was important for you all to see is not only how we work with Middleton in sports and conventions, but I also wanted to show the exposure that we're able to give Middleton through marketing and PR and partnerships as well. So I'm going to split this up among our team. I'm not going to just run with this myself. So as we go through this, I'm going to call on different team members to cover their area. So Maureen, next slide.
Yep. So I'm happy to provide some insights onto the engagement that we've had with not only the Middleton Tourism Commission, but our partners in Middleton. So this is a nice summary of a lot of in-person and some virtual events, some education-based. A lot of research is shared at GMDOS and at our industry education. And then we do a lot of one-on-one meetings with different businesses through our partner orientation, office hours, and connections. So knowing that we're available for businesses in the community. In addition to that, we have been distributing the Middleton Visitors Guide with the QR code, but really over the course of the last 3 years and beyond that in our office, as well as at the information desk at the Dane County Regional Airport. We were excited that in 2021, we had a bit more of an expanded write-up for the Middleton area and appreciate the Tourism Commission's help with that content. And then we also work with area hotels, offering them discounted partnership so that they can be receiving exposure and plugged into all of our various resources. I will pass it to Jamie and Ellie.
Hey, great. Thanks, Mo. I just had to get off on mute there. So here's the 3-year look back at both Destination Madison and the Madison Area Sports Commission in terms of events booked, room nights booked at Middleton hotels, and then number of leads issued to the hotels per year. So what? Let's start with the room nights booked. If you'll notice that there's an asterisk on 2019, and this just simply means that room nights that were confirmed in 2019 for future years got canceled, and they're no longer included in that, which is slightly different than 2017 and 2018. Those do include some rooms that were confirmed in those years, but may have canceled due to COVID. So that's why the 2019 numbers look so much lower in comparison, even though our booking was on par with those. And then the number of leads issued to hotels per year. This is for each individual property. So, you know, something like CrossFit or something, a multi-property event. CrossFit would be in here for 5 times when each of those opportunities for each property in Middleton would have an opportunity to bid or respond to that. Somewhere, if it's just like a meeting space, like something large at the Marriott convention that would just fit at the Marriott there, and it went just directly to the Marriott, might only be counted once, but it does show the breadth and depth of opportunities that our collective teams are working on bringing to the Middleton area and collaborating on. And then our events booked per year. And obviously like 2019 has that hitch as well in it. So we appreciate the collaboration and working with both the hotels and Visit Middleton on helping to create opportunities and close business. So.
And Jamie, do you mind if I jump in?
Yep. Nope.
Okay. And I just, we should have put this on here and I apologize that we didn't. But keep in mind for each of these shows that, or each of these numbers, that we consistently promote Middleton when we're at shows, when we're talking to clients, especially those clients that need a lot more hotel rooms than, that we really spread out, or if they want a certain area of town. So all of these numbers are supported by marketing and sales activity that we do to make sure that Middleton is represented at each. So next slide. Kate.
I will jump in here. Hi, everyone. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the public relations and media support along with the marketing exposure for specifically Middleton. Our PR team is out and about a lot, as you're probably aware, and just a few things to mention that have gained some exposure. The experience program, the Extension Madison experience program that Middleton is a participant in, has garnered a lot of media visits with a total of 17 national and regional writers and bloggers. And these are just a sampling of some of the media that we have acquired that has featured Middleton. Additionally, we have been on NBC 15 for event segments between 2019 and present, and there's been 3 direct mentions of Middleton in those times that we've had that opportunity to be in front. Some additional media visits over the course of the last 3 years that have specifically talked about Middleton. And I will send all of this actually at the recap of this presentation. We'll send this out in a PDF format because I understand this is a lot of information on one slide for you to take in at this time, but gives you an idea of the lots of exposure that's happened. A lot around the Mustard Museum for sure that you'll see in the miscellaneous as well. And if we move forward, again, a lot of alphabet soup here, but just want to talk about we have a lot of content on our website, which is amplified in various different ways, social media, our newsletters, and other ways. And this is just a sampling. This isn't even total of all the blogs and content that specifically call out Middleton. Again, we'll send this out to you, but a lot of great content here. And that is equated to over 32,000 total page views on our website. And also just want to call out some of the programs and campaigns that we've worked closely with Middleton and the Tourism Commission on going back to 2018. Obviously, everyone remembers Buckingham Parade. We were so happy to be able to have 3 statues within the Middleton area. I mean, I don't think I have to belabor this. We all know how many people got out and about throughout our community and specifically to Middleton to find these Buckies. So, and are still to this day. Unfortunately, I'm dying to know what's the deal with the Greenway Station Bucky. So Julie, we like to connect on that offline. But I know that people are still going out searching for those. In 2019, we launched 608 Day, which has been taken on with Madison Magazine, but that's to celebrate June 8th, 608 Day. And we've worked with Middleton businesses to promote visitation your way. Moving forward to, as I mentioned, Essential Madison Experiences, and Maureen, feel free to jump in here too, but we've had the 2 rounds where we worked with businesses in Middleton and got a lot of support and promotion from that. Maureen, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, we are still excited that we're continuing to have conversations and seeing some of our experience that were developed. Maybe they took the summer off or have plans to start up in this fall. And just to note that our continued support of their efforts, we're definitely there to help market them. We just recently did a social media campaign. So whether it's organic or paid, those experiences are something that we want to continue to support in terms of our efforts, but then also amplify in terms of our marketing efforts.
Yeah, and I will echo that. Coming out of the pandemic, our research is telling us more and more people are continuing to look for those immersive, smaller microtourism experiences. So the Essential Madison Experience Program falls right in line with that. So we anticipate more promotion that way. A large campaign that we did in the heart of COVID was called Explore Outdoor Madison. Obviously not just Madison, but the greater Madison area. In fact, it was primarily focused on the outskirts of Madison, Middleton being one of the drivers. We had 12 iconic experiences, and one of them was featuring totally on Middleton. So that one got a lot of attention, was one of our most successful campaigns in the tough year that it was, including some featured Instagram stories at Pheasant Branch. Another campaign that we did during COVID specifically was Shop Madison, promoting local shopping and how important it is to support local, both in terms of restaurants and retail. And there was a lot of focus with Middleton. We worked with Mari and Julie and team to make sure we got people out your way. And another one, we used to have a program called Hotel Week, which we morphed into Madison Minication, which was launched this past year. It was really about experiential packages. So we had participation out in Middleton and features in that way as well. And then last but not least, this is more in the sports realm, but really our Destination Madison team supports the CrossFit Welcome program. And we had a lot of that signage and promotional out in Middleton and other areas of the community to welcome all of the fans and athletes that were in town visiting. Those are really a highlight of the last few years in terms of the marketing and PR experience. Happy to answer any questions, of course, but just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of preview on where we're moving forward to. We are, Ellie, did you want to kick this off or did you want me to?
Yeah, I'll kick it off if you don't mind.
Yeah, you bet.
So Kate mentioned that we have the dashboard on a one-pager. And so Maureen, we're gonna put the link we'll put the link in the chat. But if you don't have time to grab it, just let us know and we'll get it to you. Or Juliet, I sent it to you already, right? So I think Julie has it, but so where are we going? So in as much as we have been implementing our recovery plan, it's daily that we talk about 22 and beyond and where are we headed. One of the things that we did get to accomplish as part of our recovery plan this year, which was really important to not only the whole bureau, but also Kate and her team, is that for the first time, we've hired an agency of records. So we hired Shine United, and they're really helping us expand and lift up our advertising and promotions. And we are so excited about the concepts and different ideas that they're already bringing forward. As Julie mentioned, the ARPA state grant is now open. As far as the portal is concerned, we too will be applying. And our goal as we move into 22 is really blow 22 out of the water, so to speak, because we think we can take 22 as a great opportunity to do on all parts of our business, B2B and B2C, to really do some amazing sponsorships and advertising and promotion. To the point, I said, I want to get to the point where people say to me, I'm so tired of hearing about your communities because you're everywhere. Because we think 22 is our opportunity to really set us up as we move forward into 23, 24, and 25. And it's competitive out there. I'm sure Jim would tell you the same thing. It is, as I've been in this career my whole life, and it is the most competitive I've ever seen it. Cities and other DMOs are doing some pretty funky things out there to win business, and that's what we're bidding against. And we have to just take all of that into consideration. And so I'm going to turn it back to Kate real quick on a couple other things.
Yeah, one of the most exciting things that we decided to do was work with an agency of record. So Shine United was who we selected, which is a local agency. And what we've decided with them is to do a little bit of a two-step process. We're actually kicking it off this month. We're going to be launching a pretty innovative recovery campaign, which will go into about middle of next year. So how do we start intriguing people to get back to Madison? And then in middle of next year, spring of 2022, is we're going to launch a really impressive brand campaign. And to be fair, in my tenure, we've never done anything nearly as amazing as I think this campaign will be, reaching far in all of our spaces, starting with leisure, moving into the B2B space and sports. But I wish I could share more of the creative with you today, but I will tell you the team with Shine has been incredible to work with. And like I said, I think it will capture a lot of what this destination has to offer the entire community, and really cool visual shots. I mean, some of the things we've already been talking about are some of the amazing bike paths that are out your way and how we're showing that in a really visual space. Again, not to get into too many specifics, but I think it's just really exciting time. And also we're looking at our target markets, and I'm so super excited to sit down with Julie and Mari and their team and talk through our plan and how we can align better in that space and who we're bringing to the area. But we've had some great research that we've performed, and we'll be moving forward to be able to strategically focus on who we're after and getting them here. So exciting opportunities ahead, but happy to answer any questions that you might have. Across the board, doesn't just have to be marketing.
Julie, I don't see any questions. We are open for questions, not only today, but if you get up tomorrow and you're like, hey, I wonder about this or so forth. Julie's got all of our contact information. We're happy to answer any questions or come out and meet with you. If you're like, can you pop out? Actually, I live in Middleton, so I'd be like, yeah, that's easy for me. So please don't feel shy, but I just want to thank you again, not only for your time today, but for your continued support pre-COVID and throughout COVID. Julie, anything else?
No, I think you've done a great job, all of you, of capturing all of the work that we've done together over the last 3 years. And I do want to emphasize how important the partnership is to Middleton, especially on the sales and the marketing side, where it relates to regional, national, and international efforts. I mean, we're a very small team and we just don't have the bandwidth to make that kind of reach. So I just want you to know how much our staff appreciates everything that you all do for us. And we've had a great time working with you. I look forward to partnering with you long into the future.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it.
Feelings mutual.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Jim, I think if there are no other questions from the group, we can go ahead and move on.
Yeah, looks like the next item on the agenda is a B-cycle.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for all that information too. That was quite impressive. looks like we've got some representation from B-Cycle.
So I can start, Julie, if that's okay. Would you like me to?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Mark Opitz. I'm the city planner and zoning administrator, and I've been working with Abby Attune, the planning director, and our team here. Julie's been involved, and the other tourism folks too, responding to what we think is a very exciting offer proposal by our B-Cycle team that is present here today. I want to introduce Morgan. Where is she? I think there she is. Morgan Raymaker, Helen Bradley, and Mackenzie Asplund are all present here to answer questions you may have. I understand you discussed this at the August meeting and had a few questions. This was also discussed, B-Cycle's proposal was also discussed by the Plan Commission. And the B-Cycle staff have kindly put together responses, thoughtful responses to those questions. And Julie emailed those to you shortly before the meeting. So I guess it might be best just to go through the questions. Is that, Julie, what you would recommend? Are you able to display those on the screen?
Let me give it a try.
Otherwise, I can share my screen too.
Actually, Mark, that's probably going to be a better idea. Let's try that.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I just need to go.
While you're doing that, just want to say hello and thank you, everyone. Good to see some familiar faces, some new faces as well, but I'm glad to be here and answer any questions that you have.
Hey, Morgan, good to see you.
You too.
I will start with a quick story. My wife and I renewed our B-Cycle membership actually a week ago on Labor Day. The weather, this is a great time of year to be biking, and we decided to do it. And $20 for a monthly membership. And we went down to, where was it? Oh, the UW hospital area is where we drove down to get the bikes. We had looked ahead of time to see how the stations were stocked with bicycles and what the battery charge was like, etc. And I have to say, going in on the third day of a long weekend, I was impressed that to come across a maintenance worker in a van when we came out at the Lakeshore Bike Path at the Union. There's at the end of Park Street there by Helen C. White. There's a nice B-Cycle station there, and there, lo and behold, was a van with a maintenance guy, and he stopped Lisa and said, "Hey, can I grab your battery quick? I just want to swap it out." And then he did the same for me and turned around and just said, "Oh, here, you can ride the rest of the day." And so that gave us the opportunity then. So the way this, of course, is designed is you return it within an hour and you don't get an extra charge. What we do is we ride across town and dock our bikes, and I will admit we've docked and then undocked them again to keep riding. So, but in this case, what we did is we went out the Cannonball Bike Path towards Fitchburg, outside of the B-Cycle network, and came back in on the Southwest Bike Trail and had a really wonderful time. My point with bringing all this up is that the service that they provided service on Labor Day. They were out there maintaining the system. So I just wanted to share that story. That was I'm really impressed with the service that I've found from B-Cycle, both operationally in the field, but then also the connection we have with the three people who are present here today. So the questions that have been asked by Tourism and Plan Commission staff and others, the first one is what happens at the end of 3 years? You'll recall that they offered to pick up the operating expenses for 3 years. Who owns the bikes? Should I read through this or should I just ask questions? I don't know. How would you like me to do this?
Let me just jump in and ask if anybody on the commission had an opportunity to look at this.
Yeah.
I know it came to you about 15 minutes before the meeting, so the expectation was not that you would have done a deep
Right.
dive on it, but just got a sense of what it was. I think, Mark, you have a pretty good idea of what the Tourism Commission had discussed, so maybe bounce to those points.
Well, okay.
Or whatever you think is salient as far as the
Well, and
discussion.
the thing is, I'm able to go through these responses, and at the same time, we have the people here who created the responses. So,
Yeah.
you know, in some ways, I don't want to steal their thunder either. So,
Sure.
however you wish for me to proceed, I'm deferring to Jim and the group here. I'm
You
not,
want to go through these point by point, Jim? But how many points did you have,
there's
Mark? 9 or
6, I
10?
believe. I think there's 5.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
okay, but here are the, so let's just cover the topics. What happens at the end of 3 years with the agreement? The second is what should we expect for the longevity of the bikes? Third was, what about experiences in other cities? Which, by the way, I've addressed that concern with my Madison, Monona contacts. They had nothing but good things to say, and I can go into detail if there are questions about that. I don't think that was a question as much from tourism. Here, number 4, I think is of key concern is, will tourists use the bikes? What has been the experience in Madison with one-time use near the hotels? Why don't we focus on this first? Because I'm sure this was a question that arose with you folks. So they do expect, when I talked to Renee Calloway today in Madison, she said the same thing. Madison actually has a fairly high ridership from non-tourists, but they did have more pleasure trips, if you will, recreational trips during the pandemic. And now it's finding its way back in the urban core. It's becoming more of a transportation function. But clearly the system, depending on where the stations are located, they clearly are used by tourists. I mean, I was a tourist essentially on Monday, a week ago in Madison. And so they clearly are used in other communities and in Madison by people who are visitors in town. Madison said that they had, in 2 years ago, they had walk-up users accounted for 80% of total users, 20% of total trips. They think we'd be a higher proportion of trips that are taken by visitors or one-time users. And they have partnered in the past with Hotel Red, and I'm sure in other communities they partner with hotels as well. They've partnered with local businesses like Garver Feed Mill and also Hotel Indigo to promote tourism campaigns. So the other thing I would add is that a B-Cycle membership works in any community around the country that has B-Cycle. So it's oftentimes branded as B-Cycle, but sometimes bike share can have another name, but it still is a B-Cycle system. And so I've done that where I've used a membership in one community and gone to another and used it there. There are other bike share systems out there. There are competitors out there, but there's 30 or 40 B-Cycle.
Yeah, it's about 40 cities at this point. And I do have to break one bad news to you, Mark, which is that we don't have the reciprocity anymore. But there are definitely other B-Cycle cities you can go to and buy a pass as a visitor. And part of that was that the cities didn't want to lose out on the visitor passes that they could sell into. So sorry about that one.
Well, I'm sorry that I misrepresented. That obviously has
No,
changed.
it was a recent change. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, that's, and what Madison said today was they, when I talked to Renee, she had an interesting comment on this, and I lost my screen here, sorry. Why don't you go ahead and ask if there's any questions about what I just reviewed. Obviously, we have B-Cycle folks here. If you have questions about tourism engagement with B-Cycle.
Morgan or whoever, I'll jump in here. In our conversation last month, we did have some discussion about data. If there's any data available that would link a visitor to a hotel stay. One of our challenges is that the funding that we have, the room tax collection revenue, that is our primary revenue stream, is intended to be used for initiatives that will generate paid overnight stays, be usable by a transient visitor, and be a driver for a tourism development. So we're working through these 3 parts of our mission to try to understand how this program fits into what the recommended expenditures for room tax collections should be.
Yeah, great question. I think there might be some examples we can provide in Madison, and Helen maybe can jump in on this, of when we set up pass programs with hotels. We're selling them a certain number of passes, or we have a promo code that's associated with that usage. So we'd be able to tie it that way. And then the other one that comes to mind is that I do know in our program in Jackson Hole, they do use a tourist tax as well for funding for that. So that's one I could reach out to see what kind of tracking and analysis they've been able to do.
Okay, I think that would be really helpful for the commission going forward.
Yeah, that's,
Anybody else from the commission, feel free to jump in here.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, Julie. I'd also love to see kind of what, an example, not maybe specific what you've done with other Madison hotels, but just an idea of what these hotel partnerships look like. From a hotel business standpoint, what are we, just how does it all work? Is there any sort of an outline or framework that you could share with me or the commission in particular, obviously? Because it's a tough time for hotels as well. So, I mean, although it'd be nice to have a B-cycle thing out front of our hotel, we also don't want to be, forking over part of our room night revenue to try to get somebody to use a bike that may or may not be bringing somebody to our hotel. They're here and they talk to our front desk. They're like, hey, what are those cool bikes out there? And then like, it's just, it's a tough time for financially for everybody. So, I mean, for us to think about spending something that may or may not generate tourism, I'd be interested in looking at that Jackson Hole report and just seeing what you got for a hotel partnership package.
yeah, and I can, is my audio okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now.
And I can kind of give you an idea. So on the question number 4, letter D. So I currently am working with the Garver Feed Mill, and this maybe will hopefully just provide an example of a creative partnership that was created through sponsorship of the station at Garver Feed Mill. So they received a GEM grant for tourism, and their targeted audience was Chicago residents. So we worked with Garver Feed Mill, Surya Cafe, the spa, Costa Spa, and all the other tenants that are in Garver Feed Mill and Hotel Indigo to create this tourism campaign. So we came up with 3 packages where someone who wanted to come to Madison didn't really have to think too much about what they were going to do because the options were already created for them. So we worked as a group to create this really cool offering. Someone could come to Garver, get a massage, get a tour of Masala kombucha, stay at Hotel Indigo at a discounted rate. Everything in this package was at a discount. That was the whole point of trying to get people here locally. And then B-Cycle, because we have a station at Garver Feed Mill, we were able to then add B-Cycle as a main option for transportation or just as a leisure option. And we also partner as part of that with Madison Eats Food Tours, and they do an exclusive B-Cycle Bike and Bites food tour, and they host those every Saturday and Sunday. So that was added as part of a packaged option. So I think it just kind of shows the opportunity for collaborative efforts between local businesses and hotels to create that experience in Middleton. And while I don't think B-Cycle will necessarily draw tourism to Middleton unless people are fanatics of B-Cycle, we can help, bring a unique opportunity and offering to Middleton with the support of local businesses.
Thank you.
And I think, the data obviously will be something we can follow up on, Jim, but I'll just say kind of nationally, what we've been seeing across the board of the cities that we work with is not even just B-Cycle, but just bike share, bike rental in general. It's becoming one of those almost expected amenities at a lot of hotels that people are checking for. And particularly, Mark mentioned Renee's comments about increase in visitor use during COVID. A lot of that's, fairly local visitors who are coming into town for a weekend. they don't want to get on, into a shared vehicle necessarily. And I hope that changes. Hopefully we're moving in the right direction, but bikes do offer that kind of worry-free option where they can get around without having that be a concern. And we're seeing a lot of hotels that are opting into, maybe it's their own fleet of bikes. It's just a little nicer when it's managed by someone else. The hotel's staff are plenty busy that they don't need to worry about that too.
Indeed.
Can I ask a question? And I don't think there'll be too many people that would do this, but can people take the bike from Madison, come into Middleton and leave the bike in Middleton and vice versa?
That's right.
They can?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's exciting in terms of the local visitors as well, of bringing folks in from Madison, et cetera. That was something we had debated early on in our conversations of would they be separate systems, but I think it adds a ton of value for it to all be connected.
And one thing, if I can add to that, as someone who was just riding 6 different trails last week, I saw B-Cycle on several of those trails. People are out riding them. This was Labor Day, so this, likely was not people commuting. They were using them for recreational purposes.
Mhm.
And one thing that happened last week, apparently they set a record high ridership last week, 14,800 rides on the B-Cycle system. That was the highest that B-Cycle's ever had here in Madison. Renee said that the rollout of the electric bikes has made them much more popular than they predicted. It's been at least a 4 times increase in ridership over when they were non-electric bikes. Renee said, we can't expand fast enough. Our ridership is booming. And she said visitors love them. Those are words that she used. So I just was she also said that, I already said that part of the pandemic. Yeah, anyway, so I just, from an anecdotal observation, I see a lot of people on Madison's bike trails on weekends, and obviously we see it here at Pheasant Branch Conservancy. So one of the things we thought of here in Middleton is to have 2 really focus areas for B-Cycle. Obviously our downtown area and connecting with Madison along Elmwood Avenue, the corridor that, to have these stations spaced so that people travel between them. But also we really wanted to focus on connecting the hotels and our trail network, to help with rides and getting people from across the Beltline between hotels and our businesses and vice versa.
Thanks.
This is Kathy. I have 2 questions. What other surrounding communities have purchased the B-Cycles or are potentially purchasing the B-Cycles?
We currently have a sponsorship agreement. Sorry, Helen, feel free to jump into with Monona, and in the works conversations with Fitchburg currently as well, but Monona was the first one that just started this past year.
So Monona it's confirmed that they will be participating in the B-Cycle program and purchasing the bikes.
They're already installed.
Yeah, we have 2
They're already
stations
installed.
already. They don't purchase the bikes, just as Middleton would not purchase the bikes, but they pay for the sponsorship operations, et cetera. We retain ownership of the bikes. Therefore, we take care of the maintenance, ongoing operational costs, all that kind of thing.
So what you're looking for is purchasing the stations. Is that correct?
No, B-Cycle would keep all of the equipment as ours for our ownership, and with that, taking on the operational costs and risks. So what we're looking for is kind of the partnership investment on the early end from the city, and then we take on the operational side of it.
Okay, so you're just, okay.
We're buying the bikes. We're buying the bikes to add to the system, but the bikes will be interchanged with the rest of the system. Is that
So they belong to B-Cycle. Did Madison, was this the same kind of arrangement you had with Madison, or like when you have to add, you said trying to keep up with the demand, does Madison have to continue to add additional funds to the program, or how does this work with them?
The City of Madison arrangement is pretty unique, that they have not had a financial stake in it since its beginning, which is pretty different. And that's why we have a different approach with Monona as well, where they are paying for that station expansion. Helen, as the manager of the Madison program, when she wants a new station, she's seeking out sponsors to pay for that as well. So that's similar to what we're looking at here. And a couple of years ago when we were looking at developing a program in Middleton, we did look at one option that would have Middleton owning the equipment, but then would also have the operational costs to cover as well. And I know that was a major barrier of, coming up with one-time cost is one thing, signing on for a yearly expectation is a little bit more challenging for you all.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood because when I was listening, like Plan Commission, I thought that we were actually buying the bikes and the upfront cost. Okay, so I must have misunderstood.
I think that is the correct, isn't that the correct understanding, Morgan? That the investment is in the infrastructure. Do I have it wrong now?
We're not buying bikes, we're sponsoring the program.
Yeah, so B-Cycle would retain ownership of the equipment, and Middleton would make that investment in the infrastructure. And I think this is in the first response of the question was what happens after 3 years? It's that initial investment would have been made. So unless there is further expansion or a different operating model that we would pursue, it's not like you'd be paying that cost again in 3 years.
Right, but we're investing in the capital expense up front.
Yes, in a way, but you're not retaining ownership of it. So this is exactly what we've done with Monona as well. Is the initial investment is to help cover those capital costs, and then we're taking on the operational risk.
Okay.
I have a few questions about safety concerns. I'm Jose. My concern has always been about the helmets not being provided by this sharing plans. And I know that there's other cities, one that I know top of my head, it's not in the US, but it's in Vancouver, Canada, where the helmets are attached to the bicycle and they have like sanitation liners that you can use. And so, they do provide helmets. Is this something that you guys are looking into to add to your B-Cycle program? And my other question will be, in the case of an accident, people, when they're struggling to find, how to pay their bills, when they have a head injury or any kind of injury, they will try to sue anybody who is involved into this program. Who is liable in this kind of accident? Is there any way the city of Middleton will be liable for this kind of accidents, or is it the B-Cycle who is completely liable for any malfunction or misuse of the bike or whatever is the reason that the accident happened?
Yeah, great questions. Safety is obviously super important, especially when we're talking about visitors who might be first-time users, and the bikes are designed to be very stable and easy to use. And as far as the helmet question goes, we do get that question a lot, and we have looked at a lot of different options in terms of getting a helmet that's sized appropriately, that's sanitary, that's safe. We haven't really been very excited by some of the programs that are out there in terms of a shared program. So our approach to it has been, when someone signs up for a membership, we give them a discount for $20 off at the truck store to encourage them to go buy a helmet, and have several places on the bike where we're mentioning that we really encourage the use, especially with e-bikes. It's pretty important when you're going at a faster speed. And so when we initially rolled out the e-bikes in Madison, we did a pretty large helmet giveaway also for people who attended the launch. We gave away a bunch of helmets to really encourage that usage. And that's been what we've seen as the most successful approach. In terms of liability, I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not a City of Middleton lawyer, so I don't want to speak to that part of it. But my understanding and the way that it's worked in other places is that we, as the owners, operators of the equipment, would have that liability. And we have a process where we manage any accident reports and claims and make sure that we take care of people. And obviously we hope that never happens, but occasionally things do come up.
Jose, the app, when you return a bike, the app makes it really easy to report a safety or a potential issue with the bicycle. Like if the tire is flatter or the seat isn't staying, if the seat needs adjustment, whatever, they make it very easy to report bicycle issues. And I think your technology actually can, obviously you can tell when a battery is running low. Maybe there's other diagnostics that are at the stations. I don't know. I know you know how the batteries are doing.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And those are definitely like evolving technologies we're keeping an eye on. As for now, with the battery swaps of the e-bikes, we are touching the bikes very frequently to swap those. So at that same time, we're checking the bikes to making sure everything's good there. So that's kind of like the infield maintenance, but we also have just kind of a planned monthly maintenance schedule that's tracked too. So we know the last time our technicians reviewed a bike, in case we would have a claim, we can go back and review that and speak to the state of the bike at the last time it was checked.
And Jose, I'll add one more comment on the helmet front. Today, actually, we launched our community pass program with the Madison Public Library Foundation. And as part of that program, so anyone can check out a bike using their library pass. So it's a cashless program. B-Cycle and the public library have partnered to offer this as a free program to any public library member. And with the checking out of the bike at the library, you also get a helmet. So we did donate helmets for that program. So we can certainly get creative with implementation of safety programs like that in Middleton as well. But I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Mark, was there anything on the list that addressed the option of payments over a 3-year period versus one initial payment upfront?
I didn't see anything, Julie.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. There was the discussion of how much it costs to rent a bike. That's here under number 5.
Folks from B-Cycle, is that an option for us?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll just say we could definitely look into that. The way that we framed the proposal was with the understanding that it would be difficult to commit to ongoing funding. So that was why we had framed it as we had. But if that's something that's of interest over several years, we definitely could take a look at how we would set that up.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding this number 5, I would simply make the observation that to rent a bicycle that's not an e-bike, but to go to a bike shop or any community, like if you find a place that is renting bikes for a day use, that you would never get a price like this. If you are visiting Middleton, you want to travel the Pheasant Branch Trail Network, you won't be able to go into a bike shop and get a price of $15 for a day to rent a bike. I don't know how. I've been in some communities where I think I don't even want to remember what it was. I just remember it was a much higher number than I wanted to pay.
Mhm.
And that's where the monthly pass really is a great deal. If you're going to ride a bike more than twice, for several times during the day, you get the monthly pass for $20. It's a very good value. It's, what does a downtown parking pass or bus pass cost? $60 a month now, I think, right? Or $50 a month. So the nice thing about B-Cycle is it's demand responsive, whereas a bus you have to, or for that matter, the trolley, you have to wait for the bus, for the vehicle to show up at a certain time. B-Cycle, you just find if the bike's there, you grab it and you go.
What's the typical price for an e-bike to purchase?
To purchase a bike?
An e-bike.
It could range from $1,000 to $10,000. Just depends on what kind of bike you're looking at.
Okay.
And I think it's something that it would make sense to have in the city of Middleton. I think that people would use it, not only, potential hotel guests, get people around, but also the community itself. I think like Julie mentioned, it's just a matter of, maybe we see that data from Jackson Hole, and work through the mission of the MTC and see if it can be done in an appropriate manner. And I think it's awesome. I like, Mark, you spoke a lot to the, cost effectiveness of it, the way to get people out on the trails. We've had our own discussions about the Middleton trolley, and if that someday goes away, this would maybe be something that people in the Greenway Station area can connect with downtown Middleton more easily. So I mean, I think it has some benefit. I mean, for sure.
One of the things we hear about a lot is, the perception that there's not enough parking in downtown Middleton.
Right.
And, one of the place I can think of a couple places we're having a prominent location for B-Cycle, for example, by Long Table and the fitness place. There's that open area on the curve. There's like a big area there.
Yep.
What a great place to, have in a what's considered a very desirable but yet congested area, to have a station like this, where people can just roll right in. And what B-Cycle does is if they see it, that the system needs balancing. So you can see on this app, if it's happened to me once, I will admit, where I wanted to return to a certain station and all the docks were full. And so the nice thing about having a system where you have a fairly compact system, you walk a block away to get, you ride a block away to get to another open dock. It's really meant to be it's meant to have a synergy between the various stations. And so if you have one option that's maybe not available at that time, which is rare that it's not available, then you simply can be a block away and return the bike or pick up the bike. So, but B-Cycle goes around and rebalances these. I don't know how often you do that during the day, but I know you keep an eye on this, and you look at trends and you make adjustments to stations. And when you put in a station that has 12 docks, you don't buy 12 bikes for it, you buy 7 or 8, so that you have some empty docks. So there's a science to it that's or maybe it's not science, it's an art. But you guys have experience with it, what the patterns are, and you're able to adapt to make the system as flexible and responsive as possible.
Right. When I'm thinking of this as a use for tourism, I think people who are at a hotel pick up the bike, they return it to the hotel because that's where they're staying. It's not like they're going to drop it off in downtown Madison and leave it. They're taking it from the hotel and returning it there. So
again, we've got to think about it from generating paid room nights, not necessarily just being an amenity for
people who are already there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kathy, I agree with you. And my question really was more for our locals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think a tourist would go all the way down there and leave it. But if we also are focusing on local use, because we know if the locals are going to use it, I just wanted to see if they could do that. So.
I'm sorry, Mark. I have a question because I'm not very familiar with the system, but so what I'm hearing is that the bike needs to be returned to a dock. No questions asked. Like, it's not like if, let's just say when Mark, you found the dock was full, you could leave the bicycle anywhere you want?
No, it has to go in a dock. There are bike share systems where they're dockless systems, and that's not Madison's system currently. But yes, you have to return it to a dock, and it's easy to find docks on.
And if the user doesn't return it to the dock, what happened?
Well, then it still is checked out in their name, and they will get charged.
They're still pay for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that was the case, that they needed to return it to a dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, Jose. Yeah, the rider would continue to accrue fees until they return the bike to a station. Then their trip ends and their ride is done.
Got it.
It starts when they take it out of the station and it ends when it's returned.
Got it. I do remember reading something about the scooter programs that made it a problem that, the cities were full with scooters laying on the sidewalk and because they didn't have to be returned to a certain point.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of dock-based bike share is it doesn't muddy up a city. You have to return the bike for your ride to be over. So, and with scooters, you can park it in the middle of the road. So,
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, Morgan, if there's a way to spread these payments out over a 3-year period, that will make this program more palatable for us. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that there's a value add here for our visitors. And I'm very intrigued, Helen, on the GEM grant. I'd like to do a little bit deeper dive on that and kind of explore what options might be available for Middleton utilizing those Department of Tourism funds.
Yeah, it was Balm Revisions that applied for the grant. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to connect you with Bryant Moritor from Balm Revisions.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
You can follow up after the meeting.
Mhm.
Thank you. Jim, I just want to be mindful of the time here because
Yeah.
Kathy and I both need to head
Yep.
over to the L&O meeting at 5:30.
Okay, well, I mean, does anybody have any other questions for B-Cycle at this point?
I don't, thank you so much for the information.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming. I think, I mean, I would love to have one outside my hotel, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your consideration.
Bye.
All right, so items for next agenda.
I would think we want to do a follow-up on DM. I think they did a really good job of presenting ROI over the last 3 years. I feel a lot more comfortable about moving into a discussion with them
Yeah.
on a renewal of the 3-year agreement. So next steps for me will be to talk to the mayor and the city administrator and make sure that we're aligned on what it is we'd like to renegotiate with them. And then I'll set up meetings with Ellie and get moving on that. And then B-Cycle, when is the next finance committee meeting, Kathy? Would that be, are they meeting next week or?
Yes, yeah, the regular finance, yeah, not with.
Do you think
budget.
will this be on their agenda this early in the game or will it get pushed into October, do you think?
Oh, do you mean for budget conversations?
Yeah,
We're meeting on Thursday, but it's a whole nother group of departments, so. I
right.
don't think.
I'll put B-Cycle follow-up on here, Jim, for next month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I think we might have some sense of what the feelings are on behalf of the finance and the common council
Makes
at
sense.
that point.
Julie, is that going back to plan commission again, or is that, have they weighed in all they're going to on?
I'm not sure if they're going back with this same kind of presentation that they gave us or not. I know there's been a lot of email exchanges between Mark and Mike and Kurt Paulson
Mhm.
over B-Cycle, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went back to plan one more time.
Yeah, because I was pretty certain it was that they were looking to purchase the bikes.
That was
and
my impression too, Kathy. So that was
not just sponsor them, yeah.
that was kind of a game changer, I think, for some of the questions that came out of the plan commission.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't think of anything else to add to the agenda. Thanks, Aaron. Like to get some grant applications on there someday soon, see some business coming into town.
Let me add that, the state DMO grant, I'll give an update on that too.
Okay.
When is our next meeting? I'm gonna be gone on vacation and I will not be calling in, sorry. I will be gone the week of the 10th and the week of the 17th. So I could meet on the 5th or the 26th, but I won't be available the 2 weeks in October. Sorry, I'm turning my computer off. I haven't been away for 3 years,
on
2
vacation.
years.
So our scheduled meeting is October 19th. I can put a doodle out and if we have a quorum on October 19th, would you like to just stay with the regularly scheduled meeting? Anybody else have any?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Put the
Okay.
poll up.
Okay. Thank you for letting
Miss
me
you
know
all.
that.
I'll miss you all.
We'll miss you.
Send us postcards from the edge.
Let's see, where will I be on the 19th? We'll be in Hilton Head, so.
Nice.
All right. Well, I think ready for somebody to make a motion to adjourn, it sounds like.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have a great night, everybody.
Aye, aye, aye. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.